All right, welcome to day 4 of the 7-day fast start. And this is going to be a fun one today. We're going to be getting into messaging strategies. And this is getting you so close to landing your very first client, but it all starts by what do you send in your first message. So in this video, we'll be breaking down the best principles for crafting an ideal message, the 2 types of messaging strategies that have the highest response rate, and the messaging strategy that you're going to want to run if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're running your recruiting business under the radar in incognito mode. All right, so let's dive right into it. In terms of messaging principles, it's really important, I think, to understand that when you first send a message to a hiring manager, this is the first time you're interacting with them, right? They have no idea who you are. You're basically a stranger on the internet. You're some random recruiter on LinkedIn. And it's important to understand messaging from the perspective of the hiring manager. So put yourself in their shoes for a moment. Your hiring manager may be a director, maybe a VP level type of person, and you're working for a attractive, fast-growing company. Well, in that case, you know this if you've been recruiting for a while, that you're probably getting bombarded by messages, definitely every week, probably every day, from recruiting vendors trying to work with you and get business from you. So, and this is the challenging part. I'm not sharing this with you to discourage you, but I want to really have you have a clear, honest, and transparent understanding of what the market is like out there, right? We talked about earlier, recruiting is interesting in that high upside, high profit margin, low cost of running, but the flip side is that it can be competitive. So and the thing is that when recruiters send messages to hiring managers, here's the deal. Recruiters tend to be very well-spoken, they're articulate, they're professional. So when they send messages, it's clear, it's well written typically. The problem is if you're not careful, your message to that particular hiring manager could sound and might very likely sound very similar to every other message they're receiving that week. So if you're not careful, it's very easy to get lost in the noise and have your messages kind of fall in the same bucket as everyone else's. And here's the downside to that. If your message gets lumped into everyone else, not only will you have a very low response rate, but you're going to be seen as a commodity, like every other recruiter in your niche. And if they see you as a commodity, the only way to compete is by being the lowest price option, by being the discount fee person. And you don't want to run your business that way, right? I promise. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind, that when you reach out, the main thing is you want to just get their attention. Have your message be unique enough, different enough where it stands out from the crowd, and you put yourself in a position where you have a good chance for the hiring manager to stop what they're doing, stop scrolling, read your message, and be like, oh, and feel compelled to reply back. So that's really like something I want you to really get, is that when you craft a message to a hiring manager, put yourself in their shoes for a second, right? Read the message with their eyes in mind and ask yourself, if I were the hiring manager, would this make me stop what I'm doing? Would it grab my attention? And beyond that, does this message compel me to reply? Is it juicy enough, unique enough, have enough intrigue in there that I just have to reply to this message? If not, you're going to want to work on that message, because it's the most important thing. It's how you get the conversation started to lead to a first client. All right. Now, in terms of tactical advice, when you're crafting your message, generally messages fall in one of 2 categories, either a services offering or a candidate offering. So either a message will offer your service, your recruiting services, or you'll be writing a message that offers a specific candidate or group of candidates. So let me give you an example of a services offering message. So let's say I reach out to a hiring manager. I might say something like, hi, first name. We haven't spoken before, but my recruiting firm specializes in placing senior DevOps engineers. And the people that we place tend to have Python expertise, proficiency in AWS and GCP and all cloud platforms. And they are specialized in the cybersecurity industry. Let me know if I can ever be a resource for you. Right? So I'm just kind of spitballing there, but if you look at the message, what I'm highlighting is the industry, right? Cybersecurity. And of course, I would build a list of potential clients that are all in the cybersecurity field. So when I mention cybersecurity, it's going to be super relevant to all the clients on that list, right? We talked about list building before. And now I'm not just talking about their industry, but I'm mentioning specific roles and technology stack. So Python, cloud, AWS. These are tech stacks and technologies that I know are almost universally attractive to those type of companies for that type of role. And then I'm just gently offering value. Please let me know if I can ever be a resource for you. Let me know if you like more information. Let me know if I can send you my two best candidates. Right? It's kind of bleeding into that's kind of a hybrid where you're offering your services, but you mentioned candidates. But the main principle of the services offering is you want to talk about the industry, mention the industry. That's super important because, again, if you've been recruiting for a while, you know this. Let's say I'm using the software engineering example again. Software engineers that are good at Java, a Java developer, if a Java developer has developed a code for the legal industry their whole career, that's not going to be as relevant to a company that's in the banking industry. So a banking industry is going to want a type of engineer that's done work in their specific vertical. Same thing, if a company does cybersecurity, it's great that this one engineer is a rock star in terms of skill set, but if that engineer only build products around e-commerce, it's not going to translate well to cybersecurity. So industry is super important. So regardless, when you send out a message, highlight the industry, highlight the specific candidates that you filled or that you specialize in, and then offer a bit of support. Offer to help them out, offer to send them some candidates, offer to send them some resumes, that sort of thing. So that's kind of a services offering. Hope that makes sense. Now, let's talk about the other type of message, which is the candidate marketing message. So for candidate marketing messages, here, ideally, you want to highlight one person. You're taking this individual that you have already, so make sure you have a real person, and you want to dangle them like a carrot in front of the hiring manager. So, for example, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Hiring Manager. You and I haven't spoken before. That's kind of my softening statement, right? I'm saying, hey, I'm a stranger. I know that, so let me just go out and say it. Hey, we haven't spoken before, but I understand that you are hiring for a senior account executive in the financial and banking space. And I happen to be working with a candidate who comes from your industry, actually works at one of your competitors in downtown Los Angeles. And they have a track record of selling $10 million plus enterprise deals. They've been over over 100% quota for the last 7 quarters. And they are very familiar with your company and your team. In any case, they just started looking for opportunities, and they mentioned, when I asked them which companies in their field they admire the most, your name came up first. Let me know if you like more information on this individual. All right, so let's break that down a bit. Again, I'm spitballing here. When you write your messages, you can really take time and personalize it even more. But what I'm doing here in the candidate marketing message is, one, I'm letting them know that I know they're looking for this person. So I'm being that specific. I'm doing my research. I say, hey, I understand you're hiring this type of person, and I got someone for you. That's essentially what I'm trying to say is, hey, I know you're looking. I got someone for you. Do you want to check them out? Right? That's like the gist of it. But specifically, I'm breaking down, again, the industry. This person has sold for business in your industry. Second, if I can, I'm saying that this person works for a competitor, right? Hiring managers love hiring people away from their competitors because what happens is, one, because that person's working for a competing company, they already know the space. They probably already know the line of products, the industry really deeply. So they have a very quick ramp up time. Second of all, especially in sales, if they bring over a competitor's salesperson, they know they can bring over a book of business. And I might highlight that. I can say, hey, this individual is looking to make a move. They have a book of business that they can bring over as well. I mean, that's like music to a VP of sales ears. Like, what? I can hire away a top performer for my competitor who can bring me some of their clients, right? And I'm writing some things that might intrigue them. Like, they're very familiar with your team. So as a hiring manager, I might be wondering, like, who does this person know? Do they know other coworkers, other members of our sales team? Maybe somebody can vouch for them. So I have so many hooks, so many curiosity hooks that they almost have to reply back, right? Because I'm dangling a top performer who's been over 100% quota, who just started looking for new opportunities, works for a competitor, is very familiar with their team, and I'm also doing a bit of a ego stroking. I'm saying, and this person, when I asked them which companies they respect, your name came up first or your name came up on the short list. So I'm saying, hey, they really are interested in your company. And hiring managers love hiring people that want to work for their company specifically, not just any candidate looking for a job, but they love it when a candidate's like, I really want to work for your company, and here's why. So I'm really infusing that message with all those things so that way it can spark curiosity and really get the job done, right? That type of message, as you can imagine, typically will stop what they're doing. They'll read that, get intrigued, and they almost have to reply. They're compelled to reply. So that's the candidate marketing message. Obviously, between the two, it tends to be the stronger message, but the caveat is that you need to have a real person, right? Do not say that you have a great person when you don't have one, because that's not ethical. We want to do everything completely ethically, honestly. And the hiring manager can tell too if you're just making stuff up, right? And also, if you have a real person, you can be really specific. You can say they have 8 years of experience working in the space. They have a computer science degree from so-and-so university, right? You can be really, really clear. And then you can offer a resume. You can say, let me know if you'd like to see their profile, all right? Let me know if I can share this person's profile with you. Now, you might be wondering, well, John, if I send them their resume, couldn't they just call that candidate, hire them, and then not pay me a fee? They could, which is why when you send out a profile, you make it a confidential profile. So you remove their name, you put like confidential candidate for for Mark, right? If that's the name of the hiring manager. And then I'll take out their name, their address, any kind of key information that would make it easy for the hiring manager to find them. And maybe scrub out the name of their jobs, right? You can say company number 1, company number 2, so they can't find that person. But leave enough detail and meat in the bones that they can really see how qualified this person is. So that's called like a confidential or scrubbed resume. It's a very common practice for recruiters to send out these resumes as a sample of the quality of people they work with, and leave enough detail there to really intrigue them, but not like put their name, email address, contact info that makes it so they can bypass working with us. All right, so I think that makes sense. Those are the two type of messaging strategies. Both work well depending on whether or not if you have a candidate that you have in hand. All right, so now let's talk about something very important, which is how to write a message if you are in incognito mode and you have a full-time job. So very common situation. I'd say about 75 to 80% of all of our private clients we work with do have a 9-to-5 job. And when they run the recruiting business on the side, they want to make sure that their business and their 9-to-5 job are separate. So in other words, if you're sending out messages while you have a 9-to-5 job, and it just so happens, this is what probably you're a little bit afraid of if you have a day job, is that you might be afraid that what if I message someone who is like best friends or was college roommates with my boss or my boss's boss, and then they forward my message to my boss saying, hey, I think one of your people sent this to me, right? Like that would make you nervous to the point where I imagine you might not even want to try this, or it might hold you back from even trying to get your own clients. So here's a solution. I'll give you the answer. To make sure you don't get in trouble, your message not only needs to be effective to get clients, but needs to also, 1, not get you in trouble if your boss reads your message, and 2, ideally, actually makes you look good. Your boss will be like, hey, good job on sending that message out. Okay, so you might be wondering, well, how the heck do I accomplish that? So let me give you an example. The main thing you want to share in your message is you want to be specific, but you want to mention a couple of specific lines that kind of like basically cover your ass in case your boss sees a message. So I think the best way is for me to give you an example. So for example, you reach out to a hiring manager, you say, hey there, you and I haven't spoken before, but I just had the opportunity to meet a candidate, and then we're saying the same type of things. A senior account executive who has experience working in the e-commerce space, same as you, and they have been 12 years of sales experience, sold in the Northeast territory. Again, they're same territory as your headquarters in New York, and they have a book of business that they'd be able to bring over. Unfortunately, this person, I don't have, and this is the line that will help you cover yourself. Is you say, unfortunately, I don't have anything for them in my company, or I don't have anything for them on my desk, right? It's basically saying, which is code for, I would definitely encourage that my company hire them if we had something for them, but we don't. Right, so you might even beef it up even more by saying, unfortunately, we don't have anything for him in our organization. They're a bit overqualified for our current positions. Right, so you're saying this person's like a little bit too good, too qualified for us. But now, so that's kind of where you cover yourself. Now your boss, if they read that, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this John would have hired them for our company, but we don't have anything for them. So that's how you cover yourself. And then on top of that, you say, this individual asked me, because I don't have anything for him, they asked me if I could help broker an introduction. Or they asked me if I could help make an introduction because they saw that we were connected on LinkedIn. Basically saying, hey, it's not me, it's them asking me to make an intro. They asked me to reach out to you, right? So that's even more distancing yourself from having you being the one doing this, right? Because you don't want to say, hey, I have my own recruiting business. Do you want to work with me? I have a candidate for you. If your boss sees that, they'll be like, you're gonna get an awkward phone call or an awkward email. Instead, you say, hey, I got a great person. Unfortunately, I don't have anything for them on my desk. They're a bit overqualified. But they saw that we're connected on LinkedIn, or they mentioned your company as one that they admire in the space, and they asked me if I could help make an introduction to you. They're very familiar with your team. So you see how you can mix and match certain best practices. Now imagine your boss saw that message. How you're saying, hey, I had a great person. They're qualified. Unfortunately, I wish I could hire them if I could, basically. And they asked me to make an introduction, so I wanted to, help them along. Now, what your boss will likely see that as you doing a great job of what's called preserving the candidate experience. And that's really important for every hiring manager, because here's the deal. Hiring managers know that when they interview, especially top level candidates, that it's a small world, that every industry, it's kind of a small world. Everyone knows everybody. And the last thing they want is to interview a whole bunch of candidates for their company and then have the candidates leave the interview process not getting the job and having a bad interview experience, a bad candidate experience. Because when they do, they're going to go badmouth that company to all their peers, right? They're going to say, man, this company, they put me through like the ringer, 7 rounds of interviews and all these technical tests and challenges and mock role plays, blah, 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 panel interviews, on-site meetings. And then they just left me high and dry. They didn't get back to me for a while and just said pass and gave me no explanation. If they badmouth and they kind of like gossip in that way, well, guess what? Other candidates are not going to interview for that company. So hiring managers want to make sure that if a candidate doesn't get a job, at least they feel good walking out of that candidate experience saying, hey, God, kind of bummer. I wish I got the job. I didn't, but they treated me really well and I had a good experience, and I would recommend other people I know interview with that company. So we kind of are framing this message as a way to preserve the candidate experience, right? So you can just say things like, unfortunately, we don't have anything for them on my desk, and I feel like my role as a recruiter is to help find people happy homes, right? So you're kind of saying like, I want to help them out along the way. So that's how you can send messages. The message then is purposely vague, right? Because you're saying, I don't have anything for them. Could they be good for you? And they might be like, sure, let's chat. Now, of course, on a phone call, right? On a call, that's when you let them know, hey, occasionally when I come across top candidates like this individual, they'll ask me, again, we want to put the idea that this is their idea. They'll ask me to represent them. And as such, I do a bit of consulting on the side. Again, you tell this to the hiring manager on the call, not an email, no electronic string, right? If you want to cover yourself, you just say, hey, basically this candidate asked me to represent them. I do a bit of consulting. Do you work with recruiting agencies? Right? My fee is 20% per pretty standard. At that point, they should be so excited to interview your candidate that they're like, yeah, it's fine. I'll have so-and-so from our HR team onboard you on a preferred vendor list, and they'll send you our agreement. We pay 20%, 90-day guarantee. Does that work for you? Awesome, cool. Like the contract and the agreement, this is a very important principle as well. The service agreement is not the focal point of the call with the client. The focal point is to get them excited to work with you or to interview your candidate. Once they are, then the contract and everything, the agreement, becomes a natural byproduct. They're like, yeah, we'll sign your terms. We really want to work with you, or we really want to meet your candidate. And this all starts with a good message. Again, I like to kind of, for fun, make analogies between recruiting and dating because they're kind of similar. A lot of people focus who are single. My single friends are like, I really want this person's phone number. I want their contact. I want their Instagram. Like, I want to get a hold of them. I want their phone number so badly. And that's the wrong way to approach it, in my opinion, right? The number makes... The phone number is useless if that person doesn't want to like go on a date or hang out with you. But if you focus on having a good interaction and they're excited, like they like you, they want to hang out with you, like if you try to leave the conversation, they might say, hey, how do I get a hold of you? Like they'll ask you for your information. So focus on having a good interaction, and then they'll give you their number or they'll offer it because they want to hang out with you again. Similarly, when you message hiring managers, you want and then you talk to them, you want to make it so compelling and so attractive for them to want to work with you or interview your candidate that when it comes down to talk about the fee agreement, which again, I'm saying all this because everyone is so naturally and understandably concerned and scared of oftentimes the agreement. What type of contract do I need? How do I set the terms and fees? How do I negotiate? If you have a good conversation and you are marketing yourself well to potential clients, they're going to want to work with you. And then the details, the contracts, the terms, to them, they don't care. They're like, I have vendors on board, off board all the time. We'll send you our master services agreement. Just review, sign off, or yes, send me your one pager. I agree to the terms. Like that's going to be an easy thing for them just to check off the box because again, the main thing is they want to work with you or they want to interview your candidate. So that's kind of what we want to get to. So I know I went to a lot of detail in incognito mode, but wanted to at least make it crystal clear and give you specific examples that you can go out and start using very soon. All right, very last part about messaging is follow-ups. Now, if you've been in any type of business development or sales role in your career, you know that people say the money is in the follow-ups. And the idea here is that if you're taking the time to really handwrite and handcraft these very good messages, very effective messages, and you send it to a hiring manager just once, well, you've done yourself a huge disservice because you're betting that your message is hitting their inbox and they're reading it in the perfect day, the perfect headspace, the perfect time of the week or time of the month where hiring is top of mind and they are experiencing a big enough hiring pain that they're excited and be willing to talk to an agency recruiter. Hiring managers, as you can imagine, they're slammed, they're putting out fires, they're wearing many hats. And so if you're just reaching out to them once, odds are that they might read it, but say, okay, I'll get back to this person later. I'm busy, and they never do. So you have to follow up. Ideally, you want to send at least 4 messages total, right? Initial message and some gentle nudging follow-ups that are not spammy, are not salesy, they're not pushy. What you're really doing is just offering value, right? You're reaching back out. For example, you're saying, hey, not sure if you got my last message. Any thoughts? You wait a little while, send another follow-up message. Hey, just wanted to see if you filled your sales position yet. If not, can I send you my 2 best candidates? And you're following them again, right? So, and you nudge them along the way and kind of space it out more, space it out appropriately. We can get to the details in another video, but that's the essential plan. So for example, one of our best students, best clients ever, Lauren Benkovich, she got her first healthcare client, I think, who responded to one of her follow-up email automation messages, right? So first couple of messages, the hiring manager eventually told her, yeah, I read the messages, but I was slammed. We already had a person who was in kind of final rounds, but then when they fell off and they got your follow-up message, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember you, Lauren. Let me reach back out to you. So she's a great case study of how it was a follow-up messages, not LinkedIn this time, it was email, right? Ideally, we talked about running both LinkedIn and email messages in tandem, whether you do it manually or ideally through automation, so that you can catch them whether or not they're checking their LinkedIn inbox or their email inbox. And, Lauren went to go start her own agency. She grew to over $1 million per year agency, and this is all from her first client who responded to her follow-up message. So again, the money is in the follow-ups. And ideally, having automation makes it so much easier because you can just set it and forget it without having to manually not just reach out to people by hand, but then manually follow up. It just takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of organization. If you have all the time in the world and you're super organized and you can create follow-ups, then by all means, you can do it manually. For most people, especially if you have a 9-to-5 job, you need automation to really be able to do this at scale in the background on autopilot. So guys, I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Let me give you a really quick recap because I know we covered a lot. So we talked about messaging principles. The main thing here is you don't want your message to get lost in the noise, and you want to stand out from the crowd by having your message be really specific, very unique, which is why we spent so much time talking about the niche, because by being very specific in your niche, that's going to resonate with the hiring manager. We also talked about the two types of messages. One, offering your services, you offering very specific set of services, specific candidates in your niche. That's all you do, and you can write in detail about the type of people that you specialize in placing. That's a services offering. And then the candidate offering is dangling one rock star candidate, talking about their background in great detail, and then intriguing them enough to offer this candidate's resume or profile to get your foot in the door and get the conversation started. We talked about as well how to write messages if you're running your business while you have a 9-to-5 job, and so your business is in what we call incognito mode. And there, the idea is a message should be effective enough to get responses from hiring managers, but also not get you in trouble with your boss and make you look good ideally. And the way that's accomplished is by being a bit vague in your message, and you're inserting some specific sentences like, I wish I had something for them on my desk, or unfortunately, I don't have any roles that are a good fit, or ideally, this person's a bit more qualified or higher level than the roles that we're hiring for right now, but they asked me to introduce you. So again, I'm trying to help them out, right? Preserving the candidate experience is the kind of feel that you want to infuse in that message. All right, so in terms of your action item, okay, we talked about this is not a watch these videos, it's kind of intellectually interesting, but you take no action, then stop what you're doing now, because this 7-day fast start is not designed for you. It's designed for action takers who are committed to implementing their business, and they're using this 7-day fast start as a way to kind of step by step start building up their business with the clear goal of getting their first client, their first job orders, filling that role with their own candidate, and making a $20,000 plus fee with one hire. So that's the goal of this. So I'm, again, trying to encourage you here to take action at the end of every video. So the action item for this day 4 is I want you to start crafting a sample message, right? Either services offering or candidate offering, or if you want, write 2 messages and then post them in the comments below. This way my team and I will have a chance to review it and we'll give you feedback. Again, remember to be as specific as possible, mention the niche, mention the industry, and include all the best practices that I mentioned in this video. And I know there might be a temptation now that you've kind of gone through this process of writing the messages to start blasting them out and start sending them. Because again, good entrepreneurs are ones that move quickly. They like to take action, which is great. However, please don't send all these messages out right away without at least first having my team and I review your message, because again, you only have one chance to make a good first impression. And the last thing you want is to send out 300 messages to your best potential client list with messages that haven't been fully optimized yet. And then now it's like, again, because once they say no or no thanks or they ghost you and that window of opportunity closes, it's very hard to reopen that window. Because if you send a message, for example, and hiring manager says, oh, no thanks, then when you reach out back to them again 2 months later with a better message, on LinkedIn, they can just see the email string like, oh, I said no to this person 2 months ago. So my default answer is going to be no. If I said no back then, I'm definitely going to say no now. Like, why would I change my mind? So again, you want to avoid the first no. Take your time, craft a message that you know is going to be really strong. Hopefully you get our feedback to help. So that way you're more confident and you're more assured that your message will have a high response rate. And then by all means, you can start sending out the messages to hiring managers and get the process going. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed day 4. Hope this is valuable to you. Make sure to write those messages, take some time, craft them out, drop them in the comments. My team and I will review all of them. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I will see you in day 5. Thanks and talk soon. Bye now.